Hi everybody, how's it going? This is the first in a new series I'm going to be doing, basically about comic books. Could be a regular thing, it might only be every now and again, but I figure it's about time I let you guys know what sort of comic books I'm into. So without further ado, here's a few of my recommendations. Okay, the first thing I'd love to recommend is Red Sonja. This is a great series, there's brilliant writing, it's got a nice flow, nice character arcs going on in it. Red Sonja herself is a great character. She's like a femme fatale of the sort of swords and sandals variety, and she doesn't put up with any crap from anyone basically. And in order for a man to be with her, he has to best her in fighting. And in the entire series so far, since Dynamite Entertainment relaunched Red Sonja a few years ago, there's only one man that's actually managed to best her at fighting and be with her. Any other man that's tried to flirt with her has usually met an unsavoury end, or usually endeavours at sarcasm. It has a great load of supporting characters as well, and it's also got a great villain at the moment, in the guise of Kulan Gath? I think that's how you pronounce it, Kulan Garth or something. He's just a great villain. He's been set up since the beginning of the series anyway, and it's one of those sort of comics you can dip into as well. You don't necessarily have to follow the entire storyline to enjoy it, but I highly recommend it, and it's probably Dynamite Entertainment's best title at the moment, so get hold of it if you can. Another great recommendation I have from Dynamite Entertainment is Army of Darkness. Now at the moment this is a comic that is actually not publishing in its own series, so to speak. At the moment it's running in the lines of Marvel Zombies vs Army of Darkness, but if you love the Evil Dead movies, if you love Bruce Campbell and his acting, this is a great series for you, because it just kind of has that whole flavour, especially of the last movie, Army of Darkness, hence the name of the series. You know, there's quite a lot of dark humour in it, and it's sort of totally over the top action, and Ash is like a more real world kind of comic book character, and yes, he gets plenty of women, yes, there is a lot of gore, and yes, that damn book manages to really defeat it, and it somehow always comes up with ways to bring Deadites back, and it's great fun to read. And personally, I love Nick Bradshaw's artwork on the first initial run of the series. I wasn't so keen on the other guy who's been doing the artwork for the last few issues, but it's still good writing, so it's definitely worth checking out. Okay, another recommendation I'd love to make is DC Supergirl. Now I know there's a lot of people out there who are sort of bad-mouthing this series and criticise it an awful lot, and I must admit it's taken a while for this series to really build up. I mean, we're now, what, nearly 17 issues in, and we're finally starting to uncover some of the origins behind Kara's part. I think people's main gripes with this series is that every other issue she seems to be teaming up with a different hero or different team, and the story didn't really go anywhere, and every issue she was fighting someone, and there was lots of things that were left unexplained and a bit confusing. But the last couple of issues have really been great, and anyone who sort of started reading it and then gave up because it got confusing, I'd advise you to go back, because the writing's really improved, and there's sort of a lot of questions being answered, especially why she had this sort of thing implanted into her head that she must destroy her cousin Kal-El, and that's come out in the last issue, and she's actually told Kal-El about it as well. So it's really sort of interesting times at the moment. There's a great twist at the end of the last issue, which kind of makes you wonder whether this Supergirl that we've been for the last 10 or so issues is actually the real Supergirl or not. So yeah, that's worth checking out, and it's not as bad as people make out, so I recommend that one. Another one I recommend is a comic called Paul Jenkins' Sidekick, which literally just finished its 5-issue miniseries. This is a great satirical take on sidekicks in comic books in general. And the basic storyline it's concentrated on a guy who's a sidekick, and he becomes a sidekick to not just one hero but about 5 different heroes. Adult humour, I'd say. It's not for kids, it's definitely not for kids, but it's worth checking out. I recommend that if anyone didn't check out DC's 52 series last year, you really did miss out, and as soon as the trade paperbacks of that, I recommend checking it out, because this comic book series was really good in terms of writing, in my opinion. Now, I am not a comic book expert. I've only been reading comic books the last few years, and there's lots of characters in this you understand or get. The comic book series, it relies totally on a year where there's no Batman, no Superman, no Wonder Woman in the DC universe. So you really get to see a lot of characters that sometimes are neglected, like Booster Gold, Black Adam, Ralph Dibny, The Question. All really good characters that really I didn't know too much about until I started reading 52, but after following it for the entire year, I'm a bigger fan of these characters and have a much more greater appreciation for what they bring to the DC universe. I also recommend All-Star Batman and Robin. Even though this is a very slow-moving series, it's Frank Miller, and everyone who knows comics knows Frank Miller is a pretty good writer. And he really does do a cool version of Batman, and the latest issue sort of shows Superman and Wonder Woman arguing about taking Batman out, as it were, because his methods are somewhat not as moral as theirs. I recommend that one, that's good to check out. I also recommend that you guys check out the new Justice League of America. That to me has become a really great series, and Brad Meltzer is the writer on it at the moment, and he was behind Identity Crisis, which was a really great series. Some say better than the series that followed it, Infinite Crisis. He's doing a really great job on there at the moment of writing really interesting character arcs, and again he's bringing out some of the more neglected characters and making them much more interesting, like Red Tornado, Red Vixen? Red Arrow even. These are all really great characters that in the past you didn't get much attention, and now they're becoming much more interesting, so to speak. Same with Justice Society of America. This is another great comic book that's had a resurgence of late, and I'm enjoying it an awful lot. And again, it's featuring characters that I'd never really paid attention to before, but it's pretty good at the moment, so I recommend that. Anyway, that's my recommendations for now. I might do a few more episodes of this and tell you my current thoughts on some of the comics that I buy every week, what's going on in the comic book world. But for now, I just thought you guys might like to know the sort of things that I read, and maybe I'll end this with my recommendation of the week actually. My recommendation this week that you should all check out is Painkiller Jane, issue number 1. This is a really great series. It looks like it's going to be a really great series. It was originally a 5-issue mini-series that Dynamite Entertainment has brought into ongoing terms, and it's set in contemporary times. It features a very sort of hard, femme fatale kind of central character. Again, it's like Red Sonja but set in contemporary times. She doesn't take any crap from anybody, and it's very sort of witty writing as well. And again, it deals with some very real world problems. The first issue features an attack by terrorists on a subway, and that is kind of evocative of the sort of things we're going through at the moment across the world. So it's definitely worth checking out, and I highly recommend that one. So check that one out this week if you're going to buy one comic. Okay, so that's me done for now. So if you've got any questions about comic books or any feedback on this video, how it's done, what your favourite comic book is, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. So until next time, I'll have another comic book crisis, and I'll tell you guys about what's going down. See you later.